Yes, indeed, folks. We've got kind of an angry show going on today here on Blue Police, which is been a little bit unusual, certainly, since then. And I used to do anger. I used to do anger quite well, I seem to recall. But people kind of complain, like, oh, he's being too negative. Ugh, so negative. Everything's so awesome, and he's being so negative. Yeah, well, negative's good. I like negative, so I'm going to be negative for the next 15 minutes. A negative Nancy, as it were. Yes, quite. Now, I hit the arm of my chair. Kind of hurt, actually. Why do people do that? Ow. Anyway, here we go. I'm sorry, I'm going to apologise in advance to WoW Insider if it feels that I'm unfairly targeting them this week. Unfortunately, they, aside from us, tend to be one of the most prolific of media outlets when it comes to World of Warcraft, which unfortunately means that every now and again they'll come out with an article that I disagree so strongly with. I want to take the blogger and smash him over the head with crockery. Really, I do. It's kind of like a Greek thing. Throwing crockery like discus at the neck. You know, sharpen it. It would be awesome. I could have a new name. I could be a superhero. Instead of throwing little those bat razor things, I could throw plates. Yes, it would be awesome. Now, the title of this particular article was Realm First Level 80 Titles Removed, and this should be relatively self-explanatory, but for those of you that don't really do self-explanatory very well, I shall explain myself. Now, here was what was going to happen. You should be aware, of course, by now that the achievement system is implemented in the beta, and there's a variety of different achievements, but there's also something called Feats of Strength. Now, Feats of Strength do not give achievement points, and the achievement points later on are going to be cashed in for various different novelty items. So, the Feats of Strength are supposed to represent special one-off or one-time or unusual things that happen, which are not really worth giving achievement points to, because everyone cannot necessarily achieve them, yeah? So, stuff like maybe opening the gates of Anchorage, yeah? That's kind of not something you can really do anymore, so that would be a feat of strength. You would get the achievement for it, but you wouldn't gain any actual points. Yeah? So it's like you're gaining a little bit of recognition, but you're not actually gaining anything tangible for it. And to me, that seemed fine. Now, one of the titles that was going to be the feats of strength is the first to level 80. Yeah? And they removed it, which was interesting. They also removed the title for getting Realm First Exalted Northrend Vanguard, yeah? Which was supposed to be you achieve Exalted with various factions, and you would get a title by the name of Northrend Vanguard. Yeah? You get a custom, you get this title, and that would be it, and you get a feat of strength. And the person who wrote this article is somebody that I don't really like very much, because he was the wanker that was responsible for the alpha leaks and the want some alpha info? Yeah, it's like, hey Blizzard, why don't you give us some free stuff while I piss in your face? Basically, he has no respect for anybody, and to be honest, I don't really have much respect for him, and I don't mind saying that straight out on air. Yeah, we're friends with WoW Insider, but I don't have to like all of the people that work for it. Now, let's have a look at this. Some of the quotes of this article are absolutely hilariously terrible, but the quotes that I'm going to be concentrating most on are actually from the comment boards. And as you know, WoW Insider, a pretty popular blog, so a lot of people tend to comment, and it's rather indicative of the kind of people that comment regularly on WoW Insider as to what these comments actually entail. So, the article, the bits that I didn't really like about out of Alaya's article particularly was the snarky, I'm going to have to put on a voice for this, because this is the only way that I can properly get this information across. So, I would like to introduce to you someone who hasn't been on the show for a little while, and that is, of course, the Murloc. Yes, I am the Murloc! so, Murloc, would you like to read this little passage for me? Why, yes, I would love to do that, you pitiful peasant. Murloc, that's not very nice, you do realise that. No, I don't care. I am an evil bastard. Now, let me read this for you, because you obviously can't read it yourself. Now, yes, here we go. So it was with some pleasure that I report that the titles for the feats of strength for realm first level 80 with each class, for first level 80 on each realm, and for first to 450 in various professions are being removed. The title for realm first, Northrend Vanguard, achieve exalted with various factions, is also getting removed. Note that the feats of strength themselves are still in. The game still keeps track of who got 80 first, and will tell you if it's you, but there's no longer a title to show off for other players. This is an interesting compromise. The feat is still noted, but there's much less incentive to do it now. Finally, to goal notes that the realm first boss kills will still give titles, which is as it should be in my book. Given raid lockouts, you couldn't raid 24/7 if you wanted to. So this is more of an indication of skill. Thank you, Murdoch. That was very much appreciated. I'm not done! Oh, really? Why is that? Well, there's another passage that I think I should read. Why is that? Why do you think you should read this other passage? Well, it's ridiculous, and so am I. Okay, fair enough. I suppose if I'm not going to kick you out. I mean, look, you're wielding... Is that a knife? Yes, it is! I'm very violent, you know. I can tell. Ugh. Well, okay, well, I'll just step away from the mic, and you can deal with it, okay? You want to read this passage? That's fine by me, but I want to get back to my show at some point. You will go back to your show? Well, I say you will, you gas-bladdering moron. Now that idiot is out of the way, let me read this little section for you. It's really quite droll. I rather like it. It says, either way, it's not really a measure of skill or accomplishment, so much as a measure of who's got a lot of uninterrupted time on their hands. There is additional worry that playing for 24+ hours straight is just not healthy, and Blizzard probably doesn't want people rushing through the content either. Yes, now I am off to drink some cognac and eat the brains of a small child. Goodbye, peasants. I hope he doesn't come back in a hurry, really. He's a real bastard. Oh, well, never mind. Now, let's talk about what he was actually discussing. The idea that it is unhealthy to play for 24+ hours straight. That's the kind of description that I could really give for that. Well, congratulations! Well done. You've realised that it might be okay. You know what? The human body can take it. Really. I mean, to be honest, I've played LANs for like 3 days without sleep. We played Diablo for like 50 hours straight, drinking nothing but Red Bull and eating what appear to be cookies and crisps. And I'm not dead yet. And you know what? The human body can take an awful lot more than you might think. But the more important thing is, if someone wants to do something stupid, they should be allowed to do it. Now, the idea, of course, that this is not a measure of skill is also ridiculous. WoW is not a measure of skill. There isn't skill in WoW, especially not when it comes to leveling. I mean, come on. You know. What really annoys me and what knocks me off more than anything is the guy's trying to impose his ridiculous idea of this is the only way to play on everyone else. And that bothers me, because you know what? There's a lot of different ways to play WoW. From the most casual of casuals all the way to the most hardcore of people. Every play style, in that sense, is valid, and people should be allowed to play the game the way they want. If someone wants to race to level 80 and miss all of the content, then they can. You know what? As a person, I do not give the slightest flying fig, yes, flying fig, about the lore. Yeah, I don't care. I could not give a toss. Yeah? I also don't care about reading quest text. I don't care about spending all the time looking at all of everything that the little area has to offer. Yay! Bouncing in my chair. You know, I don't care about that. I want to get to level 80. I want to get back to raiding. Because that's where the meat of the game is. That's what the good bit of the game is. That's what the best designed bit of the game was. And that's what I like. Yeah? That's what I like. And if I want to rush to level 80 to do that, so be it. My choice, my subscription. The content is still there. How I choose to play it is entirely up to me within the bounds of reason. Now, to say that getting to level 81st is not an achievement is rubbish. Yes, it is a bloody achievement. It might not be the kind of achievement that you yourself respect, but you know what? There's 10 million other bloody players out there, and they might not necessarily think the way that you do. But it's okay, because with some pleasure I report. Yeah, whatever. To be brutally honest. What annoys me more, other than the ridiculous comment and the stupid biased rabble-rousing that is to be found in this article, is the comments. I totally agree with this decision from Mirror. Good, I don't need someone shoving an Archdruid title in my face just because he lives in his mum's basement shouting for Hot Pockets whenever he gets hungry. Oh, God. It's funny, because I actually read an article about something that a US presidential candidate's advisor, the presidential candidate you may know by the name of John McCain, said about people that posted political stuff on the internet. And he was basically saying, oh, they're all liberal Dungeons and Dragons loving basement dwellers. And that's what that sounds like. But this is coming from people who should know better, because you're playing the same game. It's like a Dungeons and Dragons player accusing another Dungeons and Dragons player of being too much of a nerd. It's bollocks. It really is. I would have thought we'd have grown past the idea of something is nerdy, something isn't. The idea that there's a microcosm within World of Warcraft where there's various factions, complaining at each other, you're too much of a nerd, you're not very good at the game, is ridiculous. I mean, How can this exist? I've lost all faith in mankind. I really have. This kind of thing. You know what? What really annoys me is the fact that these guys must have the most fragile of egos. You have my pity. You have my utmost pity. I will play on this tiny, tiny violin for you. It's so small, you cannot see it. But it's the thought that counts, right? How weak, how fragile must your ego be that if someone has a different title to you that you cannot attain, you get really upset? Were you the guys who were complaining about the AQ opening? It's like, oh, he's got a black Karaji tank. I can't get it. You're not even level 60 yet. Why are you complaining? You're terrible. That's the problem. You are on the lower tier of players. And that's fine. That's cool. If you want to play on the lower tier, play on the lower tier. But stop trying to stick your hands into the upper tier's pie. Because it's a better pie than the pie that you have. You couldn't appreciate this pie. This is a connoisseur's pie. This is the kind of pie that the people have been eating pies for 20 years and understand what the difference between a good and bad pie and a really good pie. This is the kind of vintage pie that you would receive in only the finest of restaurants. You know, it's not even on the menu. You have to ask specifically for it. And you have to take a 3-point test in order to acquire a slice of said pie. You don't have that pie. You're not going to get that pie unless you start trying for the pie. Try pie is what I call it. And you cannot have a slice of it. It just bothers me. It really does. Like, let's just take content out of the game. The idea of achievements, yeah, let's dumb them down. Because we don't want achievements. We don't want to achieve something. We don't want to strive to achieve something unique. It's like, hey, look, that guy got Realm first. He got a special title for it. Diversity, people. Don't you understand this? The more titles, the better. It doesn't matter if some of them are difficult to acquire. That's the whole point. It's like looking for secrets in games. Yeah. You go through the game, you get all the achievements in a game or whatever, and you unlock something special at the end. Do you, as a player, then complain that the guy who did that got it, and you didn't do it, and you didn't get it? Are you that kind of person? Oh, really? Are you that kind of person who will not try? Sometimes, it's okay not to have everything, really. And in an MMO, especially in WoW, there is always a bigger fish, regardless of how much Blizzard has tried to level the playing field with ridiculous badge rewards and friggin' welfare epics. There was always going to be a bigger fish, and you will be happiest if you accept that. I've been through it all, really. I've done PvP, I've done raiding for both ends of the spectrum. I've done casual, and I've done hardcore. And I do mean hardcore. I've done 7 nights a week, 8-9 hours a day. I've done it. I've been there, I've done it. And I've done casual. I've done 2 nights a week. I've done through the whole spectrum. I've played in a lot of different guilds, on a lot of different servers, PvE, PvP, Alliance Horde, and I've seen it all. I understand how all of this stuff works. And the happiest people, including me, were the people who were wanting to achieve within their own reach at that point in time. If I was in a Karazhan guild, yeah, I wouldn't be unhappy that I wasn't in Black Temple. If I was in a Sunwell guild... Hang on, that doesn't work, does it? Let's try again. If I was in a Karazhan guild, I wouldn't be unhappy that I wasn't in Black Temple, because I joined that Karazhan guild and I knew the reach that I had, and I knew the reach that my fellow players had, and it's about having a good time and achieving within your reach. Achieving can be all manner of different things. If you kill a boss for the first time, that is achieving. No matter what anyone else might say to you, that is an achievement. Yeah? One way or the other. Because you've done something that was at the pinnacle of your reach at that point in time. You are constantly attempting to improve yourself in whatever area, tier of play, level of play that you happen to be at. As long as you are constantly striving to be better, then you should be happy. I am. I get happy in that kind of situation. That's the kind of situation I can live with. If I'm in a guild that's stuck in one place, but we're going, even if it's slowly, we're still achieving, then that's fine. And that's cool. And you know what? If people want to level to 80 and miss all the amazing content, etc., then, to be honest, they should be able to do it. Now, I have a message for Blizzard, as I so frequently do, and, I like Blizzard. I like Blizzard. I like the game. It's fun. There's an MMO coming out quite shortly that is about to eat a lot of your subscribers. I'm not necessarily saying the majority of your subscribers, but it's going to take a chunk. And you know the kind of people it's going to take? It's going to take the people who want persistent world content. It's going to take the people that want a bigger challenge, something more advanced than WoW, yeah? The problem with WoW is that it's becoming so homogenized, and it's getting really, really easy. To the point where it's like, well, let's just dumb down all the content and try and keep as many people happy as possible. If you're trying to cater to everyone, you are catering to no one. You have to understand this. That's the way it is. You cannot give in to these kind of people. These people, the legion of the undeserving, the whiners, the guys with the most amazing complexes as regards to demanding things, entitlement, the likes of which you have never seen. These people are not to be catered to. They are idiots. Seriously. Grow a pair. My name is Total Biscuit. This is Blue Please. I've got Nubcake News, and I'll be right back after this, folks. Enjoy. Live from the Blue Please Tower in Howling Fjord, it's Nubcake News with award-winning anchor Total Biscuit, bringing you all the news that matters, whether you realize it or not. Welcome to this week's edition of Nubcake News. I'm your host, Total Biscuit, and this is my point of view, from which I can see the ocean. Look, there's dolphins and everything. We're getting reports of an uprising of sorts amongst the lower classes of the World of Warcraft community. Bystanders tell us of mildly annoying protesters who are lazily and half-heartedly talking loudly, rolling eggs at house windows, and dragging signs around. Investigating this curious display revealed that the group responsible for the demonstration goes by the name of Mummy Mummy It's Too Hard, and their spokesman Elrond Hubbub joins us in the studio now. Elrond, a dubious pleasure to have you with us. Thank you, Total Biscuit. A vague and sloppy attempt at being happy to be here. So, Elrond, tell us exactly why you're sort of protesting today. Well, TB, we're somewhat demonstrating over the additions of these so-called feats of strength. In our view, or at least we think it's our view, these so-called achievements are contrary to the playstyle of the majority, and are 3 steps back in Blizzard's development plan. And what exactly is their development plan? We are mildly confident that Blizzard wishes to develop a game where everyone, regardless of ability and time spent, can acquire a set of gear that is equal, preferably greater in power, than the best player in the game. I see, and what do you intend to do about it? Well, we were planning on an extensive campaign of pamphlets. Unfortunately, our volunteers complained about the effort after about 1 street, so we don't think that's gotten us much exposure. Next, we tried a skywriter. Unfortunately, nobody could be bothered to learn how to fly. Worse still, nobody knew how to drive either, so we couldn't take anybody to the flight school. There's a driving school about half a mile down the road, but walking is so hard. You seem to be having some issues with motivation. Now, see here, motivation is an elitist concept and has no place in World of Warcraft. Who are you to tell me how to play my game anyway? Well, I wasn't saying that you had to. What are you doing? Typing ignore. Isn't there a shorter way of doing this? Alt F4? Thank you. Now, as I was saying... Oh, how unfortunate. He appears to have quit out of the studio. To investigate the issue further, we sent out our senior Nubstick correspondent, Welfare Biscuit, to Blizzard HQ to ask them about their design philosophy. I believe he's on the line now. Welfare? Yes, I'm here inside Blizzard HQ, where I've been informed that I'll be meeting with some of the top brass to discuss this achievement problem. Wait a second. Isn't that Fangtooth over there? I didn't think he still worked for Blizzard.
Listen up! I demand that the Sausage Kingdom be re-implemented into the beta at once!
Sir, please leave the premises.
Do you not understand? We must rescue Princess Codswallop and free the land from the Dreadlord Sauerkraut's oppression!
Sir, I'm going to have to call security.
With this huge daisy! Don't you understand? This is progress! Progress!
Evidently, he does not, in fact, still work here. Ah, Mr. Morhaime, pleasure to meet you. Yes, would you care to step into my office? This is your office? Seems a little unusual. Oh, yes, I imagine you're surprised. It's made from Tigol's flayed carcass. That seems somewhat unhygienic. Well, yes, but it turns out that welfare epics comment he made meant sure he was first against the wall when the casuals finally decided to lynch him. Took them about a year, and it wasn't very good, but they got him in the end. That still doesn't explain the offers, doesn't it? No. Are you sure? Why are you waving your hands around like that? Are you sure it doesn't answer your question? If I say yes, will you stop doing that? It's freaking me out. That is an acceptable solution. Okay, so tell me about this achievement problem. Well, we at Blizzard aren't afraid of admitting when we're wrong. Well, we've realized that the achievement system is indeed contrary to our design document. How so? Well, for the past few years, we've been rewarding underachievers, so it seems pretty ridiculous to just reverse that right now. When you put it like that, it does sort of make sense. In accordance with the way the game is going, we'll be implementing a system of underachievements, allowing the majority of our player base to feel coddled and be rewarded for their inactions. What kind of things did you have in mind? Well, the most controversial achievement we had was for getting to level 80 first. That has since been removed and will be replaced with an underachievement, given to those who don't actually reach level 80 at all. Naturally, this will only be available for players who own the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, although we will likely rescind such a restriction in future patches due to player outcry. Isn't not reaching level 80 a bit hard? You're inevitably going to get there as long as you keep doing quests and killing mobs. We hadn't thought of it that way. Yes, come to think of it, it does seem a little tricky. And the last thing we want is to implement some kind of challenge into the game. The player base would be up in arms. Assuming they could be bothered to be. Yeah, well, okay. How will we do this? Well, how about this? We'll give everyone an underachievement, except the first person to reach level 80, who will be punished with a really unpleasant rendition of Sunshine, Lollipops and Rainbows, as sung by Chris Metzen. Assuredly a fate worse than death. Nobody will dare race for level 80 now. Mike, thank you very much for talking to us. My pleasure as always, and remember guys, Warhammer's way too much effort. Back to the studio. Yes, a truly inspirational tale for us all. How could you fail to be excited by that? This has been Nopecake News. Good night.